Welcome back to More Than Makeup. I'm Kelsey, and today I'm joined by my friend Brittany, who is a content creator here in Vancouver Island. I'm going to get you to introduce yourself, but I just realized on the way here that you were actually one of the first people I met when I moved here.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You were like number 2.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It feels like yesterday, but also ages ago.
Yeah, it was like 4 years ago now.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Wonderful. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Brittany Jayne. I am the founder and creative director of Muse By Her. We're a creative studio that specializes in content creation and social media management. So we work with women-led brands in the wellness, beauty, lifestyle space. We just help bring their visions to life through storytelling and really elevated content.
I love that.
Yeah, it's been a dream.
Yeah. So we met when I moved to Canada. I got invited to a dinner and I just started doing the whole content creation thing. Like I think I had like maybe 20,000 followers at the time, but I was really passionate about it. And then we went to a dinner and you and I were sitting next to each other and you said that you're in content as well. And I got so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, this is someone that I can like geek out with and talk about content with. But back then, what were you doing like 4 years ago? How did this all start?
When we met, I was just freelancing on my own. I didn't have a team. I was just content by Brit. It was just me. And I remember geeking out too because, you know, I would talk to my friends about work and I would just see their eyes glaze over. They're like, oh, content.
Here she goes again.
Right? And you and I could be like, oh my God, what are your camera settings? Like, you know, just getting excited about that and strategies. And I remember you just stunning. Your attire, your hair, you just showed up with presence and you were unforgettable. I remember that. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so nice. Yeah, we had fun that night and got to know each other. And then I think the first project we ever worked on together was my Vancouver masterclass, my first one with Jada.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, so this was, I think I'd been in Canada for about a year. Me and Jada Marie is a makeup artist from Vancouver. We collaborated on a class, struggled to sell tickets, like really struggled. I think in the end we sold 14 tickets, which we were so excited about. And I got you to come along and help with content. And the content was insane. It was so good. And I just remember you working like a horse that day. Like I would look over and you'd be like up in the loft, like filming all the products. Like you went above and beyond.
Thank you.
And I don't know if I'd ever worked with a professional creator before that. I'd just like get my brother or my friends to do it. But that was when I really saw the value in hiring someone who knew what they were doing. Like you filmed clips of me that I would never even think would look good in a video. Like just like me pulling the makeup brushes out of the cylinder or like picking up a palette or like your attention to detail is insane. And so from then on, I was like, okay, whenever I'm doing anything, I'm having this girl. So
you blush, girl. Don't stop.
We've worked together on some of my Étoile stuff. Like I shoot some content for them. You just did my recent Vancouver masterclass, which was 60 people.
Beautiful.
And then you shot my wedding.
I know.
As well.
I know. My favorite.
Yeah. So all of the content you saw online of my wedding was all Brittany. And that was so fun to work on together because, again, we got to geek out.
Yeah.
And obviously I wanted to get beautiful content. And you were the first person I booked. I was like, we're not getting married unless Brittany's available.
I remember that. I was like, oh my God, sign me up immediately.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a part of the whole process.
Yeah.
And it came together so effortlessly. And it was easy. Everything was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was a beautiful setup, like the backdrop and the gardens and everything.
But even just like you and your people and your love, like it was just so easy to film. It was so stress-free and just unfolded so naturally.
Yeah.
Literally, I could drop the phone and took a good video. Like, I swear.
It was a beautiful day.
It was.
So what were you doing before content creation? Because obviously the whole content creation thing is a very new thing. Every day now I'm seeing new people pop up as content creators because really anyone can be one.
Absolutely.
Anyone can call themselves a content creator just by holding their phone and filming a video. It's become a real thing now. But what were you doing before that?
So before that, I was working in sales and marketing for events at the Fairmont.
Oh.
Yeah, I was working with Canada's Western Mountain region. So that was Banff, Whistler, Lake Louise, and Jasper. And so I would be responsible for making sure that like corporate events, weddings, things like that were booked out properly and expectations were met. And then I would also eventually be part of facilitating the event. So making sure the event ran smoothly from really start to finish. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love tourism and hospitality industry and that like luxury side of the industry. The level of service, especially with Fairmont, is above and beyond. And I find that nowadays even customer service is becoming a luxury, which is insane to say.
Yeah,
it used to be the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And now good customer service elevates a brand exponentially. And so that actually taught me so much about how I run my business and how I serve our clients, how I show up for my team is that customer service. It was a really good foundation for me.
If anyone gets a chance when they're younger to work in hospitality, it's like you have to do it. You learn so much about customer service, but about hard work, I think, as well. I used to work in a bar when I was younger, and the owner of the company, his attention to detail was insane. He would walk in and he'd run his finger along the bar, and if there was water on the bar, we would get roasted.
Oh my gosh.
But I kind of like it because it taught me that those little things matter. Like there's nothing worse than walking up to a bar and sitting your arm down and there's water everywhere.
Sticky.
Right?
Yeah.
So just little things like that. And so I think the hospitality industry really trains you so well and preps you in such a good way. And especially working in weddings, because you've seen how like the back end of things run. You've dealt with brides in the past, so to now have your own business in the bridal industry, I bet that was so helpful.
Oh, absolutely. To understand the flow of events, how that works, how to problem solve. Like when you're there at an event where you're limited with what you can do to solve a problem. I swear the best content creators are ones who have worked in hospitality.
Yeah.
Because they know how to problem solve on the drop of a hat and they've seen it all. And they work under fast-paced, very chaotic environments with a smile.
And I think all wedding vendors have to do that, right?
I agree.
Like makeup artists, hairstylists, photographers, content creators, like we all have to be like that because shit can go sideways.
I know, right? Like very quickly. But no one would know. You know, we're the graceful swans on top, but underneath our little legs are like,
it's chaotic. What did content look like when you first started? Because obviously content has evolved so much. So when you first started building your brand, what were you posting? Like, what did it look like?
Absolutely. When I first started, I didn't really post much for myself. It was more for my clients. And what I was doing was a lot of blog writing, a lot of website building, and a lot of just photography and graphic design. It was really just imagery and copywriting.
Bit of Canva.
Lots of Canva. Bless Canva. Saved my life. But when Reels and TikTok took off, I shat a brick. Can I say that?
Yeah.
I was scared shitless because I realized, number one, I had to be in front of the camera speaking in real time. I couldn't just take a really curated picture. I know how to show presence, and then I had to get my clients to do that as well. I'm like, how am I going to do that? So it was very different when I first started out, even strategy-wise for your brand. It was very different.
Yeah, I miss the good old days of just being able to post a photo and that be it.
Yeah, a beautiful curated, touched-up photo, you know?
Yeah.
But I think we're doing a bit of both now. Like it's a bit more balanced than it was.
It is. Yeah. When I first started in content, makeup artists were uploading 11-minute tutorials on Instagram.
Oh my goodness.
It was hard work, to be honest. I think it's actually easier now to when, this is probably 7 years ago. It was long vlogs. People had a better attention span then.
I agree.
But the editing was harder and all of that. So I always say, I think now is the easiest time to be a content creator.
I agree.
Even though it's fast paced and you have to constantly be keeping up with whatever's going on. But I think you can put out pretty simple content now and it can perform well.
And there's so much resources nowadays. There's so many coaches who can support you, courses online that you can take. When I was starting to do content strategy, there was no one doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it was how do I translate that so people see the value in that? And if I don't know how to solve a problem, where do I go? There's no chat GPT.
Yeah, so true. I was how did we build our businesses back then without this? People these days have it so easy.
I know. It's the Stone Age.
Yeah. So then how did you learn how to film and edit and all of that? Who taught you, or did you just figure it out yourself?
Figuring it out myself, just doing, doing, knowing that I had a certain standard of what I would expect from my brand, and then therefore what I would only put out for my clients. It had to be the same level.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, how could I do better? Okay, more lighting. Okay, different mics. Okay, different styles of shooting, or phones are getting better and better as well, which is amazing.
Even different backdrops and
Exactly. And even then before, I was shooting on a camera, a Sony a6000. The phones weren't of quality to be shooting on.
Yeah.
And that style of editing is very different than just a quick edit on your phone on an app.
Well, now people are editing and filming YouTube vlogs on their phone.
Yeah.
I've got a friend doing YouTube right now and the quality's so good, and I messaged her and she said, I'm filming it on my iPhone.
Amazing.
So it's we don't need all this crazy equipment. Everything can be done on the phone now.
Yeah. There's such a low barrier to entry now for content creation. You just
Totally.
need a phone, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, that's right. Because going back to what I said is that anyone can be a content creator. But coming from someone who has, obviously I host events all around the world, so I have to hire different content creators wherever I am. There's a difference. Some pay more attention to detail than others, so anyone can do it. It's like makeup artistry. Anyone can do it.
But is it done well?
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Yeah. And that's what I love about you is that everything you do is done so well.
Thank you.
So well.
Thank you.
When did you realize that this could actually become a career for you and you could build a business? When were you okay, I'm getting enough traction from clients, let's go?
So it was actually before I was gaining traction from clients. So
I love that. Start before you're ready.
Start before you're ready. I had this inner knowing because I could see things unfolding online during COVID. Everybody online was fighting for space, fighting for attention. Nobody had strategy. Nobody knew what they were doing. They're all hopping around doing TikTok dances and this and that, and it's not in alignment with their brand.
Yeah.
And people are like, why is no one buying from you? Why is no one seeing my content? And I knew that strategy and quality of content was so important, but no one was helping anyone because content strategists weren't really a thing. And I could tell that that was the skill that I could bring. I personally didn't want to be in front of the camera. That's not where I excel, but I really do well behind the lens and with the strategy. And let's get to your goal, like your sales goal or whatever that might look like for your brand. So when COVID happened, I was literally knocking on doors downtown when they started to open again, being like, do you need help with your content? Do you need help with your strategy? This is what I can do. And people were so fed up of trying to like scream into the void that they were like, yes, please come on. And then from that, it just snowballed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess you were one of the first people doing it here as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. It's like finding that gap or like finding that problem and solving it. That's what they say, like becomes the best businesses, right?
Absolutely.
Just on the whole strategy thing, something that I found interesting is that when you and I first met, I really didn't have much strategy with my content. I was posting and I was trying to do it well, but I wasn't like, I'm doing this to achieve this. It was like, no, I just have an overall goal of building a global audience and selling online courses. So I'm just going to show up. And I kind of was just like posting just for the sake of posting without much strategy. But when I met you, you pointed out that I was a storyteller. So you were like, you're a storyteller. You take people along the journey with you. And I was like, really? Like, I didn't know that I did that.
It comes so naturally to you. It's in your blood.
Yeah, I think so.
It is.
Now I teach that to my clients, my mentorship. I'm like, you need to become a storyteller.
Yes.
You know, but I didn't realize that I did that. But I think you mentioned it in the beginning when you said that, you know, Muse by Her tells stories for brands.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about storytelling and why it's important in building a brand.
Storytelling is so important because I think your audience really wants to connect with you. They're craving connection. And nowadays people are so tired of being sold to. It's everywhere. It's on Netflix now. It's on Spotify. It's on the street corner, on the bus stop with a poster. It's everywhere. You're always being sold to and you can smell it a mile away. And so storytelling is a way to share your passion, your skill, your business with people in a way that welcomes them in as opposed to shove something in their face in a way.
Yeah.
So it's more memorable, it's authentic, it doesn't feel forced, and it drives this really personal, close connection with the community that you're building. And I think people are really craving that community these days. We all go online to look for something to buy, but we're starting to consider, who are we buying from?
Yeah.
Do they align with us? You know, we're taking our time to purchase now. And so we want to purchase from people who we feel connected with.
Yeah.
And that storytelling is part of the process.
Yeah, it builds trust.
Yes.
It really does. And yeah, they want to feel like they're a part of it.
Exactly.
I think that all brands should be aspiring to kind of be a storyteller. What would you say is the most challenging part about your job as a content creator?
I really learned this over the last 2 years as Muse embarked on our wedding content creator journey. We stepped into that industry and it absolutely blew up. We were booking weddings on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. So we would have 3 in a row, and sometimes we'd have a second member of the team doing their own. So there would be double weddings in a day. The most difficult thing was being so socially and energetically drained and then coming back and needing to be creative.
Yeah, having to
You
edit.
cannot force creativity.
No.
I tried.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You have to be in the right mindset, in the right space. You can't be stressed. You can't be burnt out because there's going to be no inspiration there. And so that is probably one of the most difficult things, is balancing that burnout so that way you're not losing your creative spark.
Yeah, this is the hardest thing. Like, I don't envy photographers and content creators for this reason, because you guys have to take home so much work.
Yes.
And like, in a sense, I'm a content creator too, and I take home work as well. But on the scale that you do when you're editing wedding videos and that kind of stuff, like, you take home so much more work. And I think that's what a lot of makeup artists listening struggle with. It's that, because I preach, edit and post the same day to get it out of the way. But people struggle with that because they get home and they're tired. What do you do when you're not feeling creative, or like, what's your process?
I think first there's a very fine balance of like push a little further to just kind of ride that creative wave, because of course you're going to be tired, right? But if you're home and you have this idea and it's a fire burning inside, you do it.
Yes.
Don't wait.
Yeah.
You know, that idea will flicker away onto somebody else,
Yep.
and you're going to see it, you know, in the next week. And
You're going to kick yourself.
damn it, I had that idea.
Yep.
So don't sit on it for too long, but also know that you're not expected to be successful and post shitty content because you're just like, gotta get the content out.
Yeah,
right?
like quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly. So I really find that grounding yourself, taking time for yourself, and I've done this and I've learned this from experience. I would get up 9 in the morning and work till sometimes 11, 12, sometimes 2 in the morning.
So yeah, sometimes you message me at like 2 a.m. I'm like,
I know,
oh,
I'm
she had a big
sorry.
one. Wait, no, I'm asleep. But I check it in the morning, I'm like, oh, she was up late.
I know, I've started to like schedule my messages so that they get there the next day, so it's not so telling of, you know, how deep in it I am. But yeah, trying to find that balance of like going outside, get some fresh air,
Yes.
take care of your needs first, because while sometimes, yes, you do need to push, you do need to work hard, you do need to show up with discipline when you don't have motivation, yes.
Yeah.
But read your body, listen to your body. I like to say that content creation is a marathon, right?
It's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work.
It is. So how do you want to manage that? Do you just want to go and run forever and ever and ever? No, you can't.
Yeah.
So maybe you sprint and you take a break,
Yeah.
you rest, and then you sprint again. And it will look different for different people in whatever stage they are in their business. Like I wish sometimes I could take a break and I just can't because
Yeah.
I'm the boss.
You have clients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But then, for example, I was able to take off the month of January for the
Yeah.
most part because
Yeah.
I built that into my business so I could recoup and ground myself with family and time off. And I'm coming back feeling so renewed and
Yeah.
with so much clarity. And that is going to now double my business again this year.
It's so true. Like I obviously for like 3 years, I just ran that marathon, like no breaks.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like it paid off. But I'm really this year trying to embrace more of that. Like I took a month off over Christmas. My engagement dropped significantly.
Of course it will.
It's going again now,
Yeah.
but it took a bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people are scared of taking time off because of that, especially if they've built momentum, they don't want to lose it. But what I found by taking that month off, again, I got so many ideas.
Yeah.
I launched my mentorship, which like wasn't even an idea of mine last year.
Wow.
Like that break helped me create that and
Yeah.
like develop it and put it together and then launch it, you know?
You held that space to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, rather than just like, you know, running on the hamster wheel, I think it is so important to take some time off, even just a day.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
sometimes I'll take a
Offline.
Sunday off. Yeah.
Yeah, turn your phone off.
Turn the phone
go
off.
outside, be with your family, look people in the eyes, have conversation.
Yes.
You know, and I think too, like, you're a testament to what you're building. I remember the days when you were so anxious about taking time off and, you know, you were chronically online, you know, and now I can see that you'll be gone. And I'm waiting for you to come back. You've built an audience where I'm like, what has she been up to? You've built a community that is, you know, I know when you're not there, I'm happy for you because I know you're resting.
Yeah.
And then when you come back, I'm excited. You're like the first ring in my stories because I'm like, yes, she is back. I'm coming to look for you.
Yeah.
While, yeah, of course, maybe originally your content won't see the same engagement. The goal is to invest your time in building a brand and a community where people, you're not going to be
They're not going
forgotten.
anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you didn't post. That is the goal. Because, you know, you could have so much engagement and so many views, but if people aren't resonating with you or really connected to you, they'll find someone else,
That's
right?
true.
And that's not what you want anyway.
That's where the storytelling thing comes into it.
Exactly.
Because if you let them in and you build trust with your audience, they will be there waiting for you.
Yeah.
They'll be there ready to support you when you come back. Yeah, that's something I'm really working hard on this year. Just like protecting my mental health around the online space. How do you do that?
That's a really good question because it isn't a day-to-day struggle because it's so easy to just want to dissociate online and just scroll for inspiration or business ideas or what are other people doing in my niche or my industry. And then next thing I know, I feel like shit about myself. I've lost clarity of where I'm going. I'm comparing. And so
And it's not served you at all. You're just doom
all.
scrolling.
I literally, and then staying up till 2 a.m. for what? Now
Yeah.
I look like a gremlin and,
you feel like shit.
dehydrated. I feel
Yeah.
like shit.
Yeah.
So how I battle that is first and foremost create more than I consume.
I love that. I learned that early on from Marie Forleo. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Yes, I love her.
She preaches that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's true. You end up staying true to your voice. You tune out the noise. You don't get sucked into comparison. And I find that you show up with more confidence because you're not trying to be anyone else but yourself, because all you consume is your own ideas, and you create those ideas. You bring them to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big thing that helps me with my mental health. And I think too, separating, like knowing that your online persona is a brand at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, you aren't going to be your full million faceted self online. So by stepping offline and spending time with friends, family, reading books, touching grass, that really helps rewire your brain, honestly. Like sun in your eyeballs
Totally.
rewires it and grounds you.
100%. I watched a podcast recently with a really big social media influencer, and she talked about how she has 2 phones now. So one phone is her personal phone that only people that she would talk to in person have access to.
Love that.
And the other phone is Instagram, TikTok, the business. And so she actually turns her phone off at like 6 p.m. every day and puts it away. That way she's separating her work and her life. And I loved that because I'm like, I don't do that. I have one phone.
Do I? Oh my
You know?
gosh, yeah.
And then she talks about how like whatever is existing in that phone is just in that world of
that
social
feels so
media
peaceful.
is just not her real world. It's on
Work.
It's crazy because like sometimes you do get so consumed in what's going on online. You put your phone down and you're like, oh wow, like
yeah.
I'm just here with my husband. Like it's all good. Like
Yeah,
it's fine.
actually fine. There, well, I had nothing to be stressed about.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to set those boundaries too. It's hard. It's really hard because
It
like you
is.
said, I love what you said, how when you feel that inspiration, run with it. And people always say to me like, did you have a content strategy or strategy around, like obviously there's been a level of strategy over the past couple of years, but for the most part, I just post when I feel inspired. I don't have a content calendar. I'm not like, okay, I need to post 3 times a day. No, when I get the inspiration and I have a message to share, I post it.
I love that.
And sometimes that can be at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Right?
Creativity sparks at the weirdest times.
I know.
In the shower always.
Yes. Or like when you're on a long walk or whatever. But
Yes.
now I'm trying to get used to like putting that in my note and bringing it to life within 24 hours. Like I don't need to go and edit the video right there and then, but
Yeah.
get it out as soon as possible.
Yeah. Keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to move into the actual content creation process. The majority of people listening are makeup artists, hairstylists. And I think like just collectively, people struggle bringing content to life. They struggle with ideas. They struggle with editing. I actually created a very short course that's just to teach millennials how to edit videos because
Epic.
it's like something that like
Needed.
people really struggle with.
Yes.
You know, so I want to move into that and like how we can actually bring this content to life. First of all, tell me what trends you're seeing in 2026 or what content you think people should be focusing on at the moment because it's always changing.
It's unique because trends come and go, right? But truly what I believe is the most impactful is what's underneath those trends, like the logic and the strategy behind that. Because you could have any trend for any different industry, but what is the trend that could apply there to all industries? And what I'm finding is that people are really craving, like I said before, that connection. You know, we're seeing AI everywhere and you can spot it a mile away. And while it's entertaining, it's like lifeless in a way. And so I think we're going to see a lot of people who show up with authenticity and realness, that storytelling aspect. That is going to be what's trending. Not so much like, oh, it's just a trend, but people are going to be wanting it. And so it's going to take off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
What would be an example though? Because even me sometimes with the storytelling aspect of it, I'm like, is this pointless? Because like, does anyone really care about the hike that I'm going on this weekend? Like, for example, when I share the book that I'm reading, I'll get a bunch of messages from people that have never messaged me before because suddenly they can relate to me on something.
Yes.
Or when I share about my Lebanese husband, all of a sudden I have this new audience of people that couldn't relate to anything else before, but now they're also married to a Lebanese guy or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
When I share about my uterus, the engagement from all these women I've never spoken to. So I get it in that sense, like you are trust building, but then how can you turn that into like, you know, a lot of these makeup artists are wanting to sell something essentially.
Yeah.
So how does that tie in?
I think by bringing people along the journey, whether it's your passion, your personal life, your skill, whatever that might be, when you're bringing people along with the journey, you're getting them involved and they're feeling more invested. So I think to speak to what the biggest trend that we're going to see is behind the scenes content, but not like the traditional sense of BTS. Like, okay, we just hired a content creator to shoot BTS, you know, I was here and I shot this thing and that's that. No, it's what's the energy like, you know, what's the personality, what's the vibe, what's it like to work with you and that experience. It's no longer just about the final look.
Yeah.
It's no longer just about the work that you're doing, because to be honest, you could find great work anywhere. It's not necessarily an oversaturated market, I would say, because you could say that about any industry, really, I think, these days. But what's unique is you and your journey.
Yeah.
So that's where the trend is going. And that's where I think people need to focus more, is showing those behind the scene moments and telling that story from that perspective. Like, I'm going to book Kelsey because she gets what it's like to have health issues. She understands if I'm, you know, grumpy today on my wedding day, she'll be like, no problem. She's going to make me feel at home because I know she's been through that, or we've connected on this or connected on that, or maybe I've been there from the very beginning. Like, I've had people message me being like, I remember when you launched weddings and you went to Mexico and like showed up with a bunch of photographers with your iPhone, and then you're blowing up now with the team. I remember that. And I told all my friends about you, and now they're reaching out for their weddings just because I showed them behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I didn't show up with like, this is my beautiful video that I did, or this is the beautiful look, you know, the makeup skill that I have. Skill, of course, is crucial to your business and your success.
Yeah.
But that's where the storytelling piece comes in.
Yeah. I posted a reel recently that said, don't post your work, post yourself working.
Yes, I love that reel.
And like the best example I have of this for the makeup artist listening is a few years ago, I had a bride reach out to me for a quote, and my quote was too expensive for her. And she said no. After that, I did my viral wedding with Jordan, the blonde bride. I always talk about this wedding, but it did change so much for me, so I always go back to it. My goal with that wedding was to document. Obviously, there was some curated content from it, but I documented the whole thing. Like, everything was on stories. I was sharing all the BTS.
I was peeled.
I was driving everyone crazy with the content.
No, I was love it. I was here for it. Give me more. I was eating it up.
Yeah. So then off the back of that, I had this other bride who had previously said no to me for another big destination wedding. She come back to me and she was like, hey, Kelsey, I really saw the way you looked after that bride and how much you cared for her. And so I want to book you, you know? So just documenting instead of creating, like showing yourself working. Of course, as makeup artists, we need to show our own work as well. Like, we need to show the makeup.
Bare minimum, yeah.
But it's so much more than makeup. Like in any business, I think it's so much more than just the skill that you have and what you're offering. It's like your personality and like what you bring to the table and like the energy you bring on the day. Like all of that goes into it. So people want to see you and they want to see you working. What other types of content do you think we'll see in 2026?
I think we're seeing a resurgence of carousel content,
Yeah.
photo content. It was like all short form video, which I don't think is going anywhere.
No,
it's just going to keep spiraling,
Yeah.
you know, snowballing rather. But carousels, like, do not post one photo ever.
Never. It's the worst thing you can do.
Literally the worst thing you can do. You're like tanking your own engagement, because every swipe on that carousel is engagement.
Yes.
And so you have 20 spots to showcase your story, your business, your brand, your skill. So utilize it. We're seeing text on screen. We're seeing collage, kind of scrapbook style materials. And it's a unique way to storytell, because we can really curate an aesthetic through that. We can really lock in, like I'm helping a photographer right now dial in on her about me kind of carousel story. And really like taking people from one slide to the next. Like, why should we care? And how does everything that we're saying about you shape someone's experience with you, about you, their perspective of you? What do you want people to know? And so I'm really excited that carousels and photos are coming back.
And also it's a really easy piece of content to make.
So easy.
Like, as long as you've done a branding shoot and you have some good photos, then the carousels are so easy. Like,
Absolutely.
it's just photos with text on top.
Exactly. And you can go back into your photos from when you were a kid.
Yeah.
You know, you can reach into the archives from other shoots you've done or work you've done to tell stories from that apply to now.
Yep.
That's where that storytelling aspect comes in, because that's evergreen. It is always relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. This is going to be different for everyone and depending on what project you're working on. But how long should we be spending on our content? I guess that's a bit of a hard question to answer.
It's a great question, though.
Okay.
I loved when you asked me that because I was like, how can I phrase this? And I'll bring it into a real world experience with my team, for example. So how long should we spend on content? You've heard the saying like quality over quantity. And sometimes that can apply to content, but almost nowadays it's a little bit more ambiguous because we do want more content. We want more content. It's short form. We want to be posting. We don't want to be hoarding content, posting once in a while. Perfection, the enemy of good. You know, we're trying to make something so perfect, so we just post one thing. When in reality, we could have posted 5 things.
Yes.
So to bring that back to how much time should we be spending on content, spend enough time to make something that you're proud of, but don't nitpick it apart for perfection. So when I look at my team, you know, all onboard a creator and they'll start with 1 client and then they'll grow to 2 and then 3, and then we just assess at what they can handle. And it's funny, it's always in the beginning, they will spend so much time on 1 client, nitpicking this, nitpicking that. And I'll look at their time spent and it's a lot. And I'm like, okay, content is beautiful, but there was a lot of time spent second guessing maybe, or trying to make something so perfect. Then when we bring on the 2nd client and then the 3rd client, they actually spend less time and they produce the same quality of work or even better work
than the first time.
Because they don't have time to second guess now. They're not sitting with something, ruminating about it or what could be better. It's on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. So if you're spending quality time on your content, it shouldn't be so many hours. Like if you're sitting there being like, oh my God, I'm daunted by the amount of time I have to set aside for content, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And you need some help with your strategy.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to the way you film. So when I got better at filming, I got better at editing.
Absolutely.
Because all of a sudden I'm not trying to like zoom in to cut out something in the background or like I'm not over filming as well. If we're talking about makeup, I don't film the whole look if I'm doing a tutorial.
Yeah.
I go back and forth because I know that that's going to be so much easier in editing.
Yeah, you don't want to sit with an hour-long video where you're like, oh, when
It's
did I do
overwhelming.
that? It is so overwhelming. Then you don't even want to touch that piece of content.
Yeah. So that's why I think makeup artists or just anyone in business, you know, just learn a bit about filming. And that's what I've learned from you. I was a decent content creator before I met you, but something I really learned from you was like, you would always go in on 2Zoom. And I never did that. I never used 2Zoom until I met you. The pacing. So like moving the phone slowly. This is something, by the way, to the makeup artists listening. There's a lot of makeup artists that when they're filming content, they're moving their phone so quickly. They're doing this from side to side. I actually hold my phone still. And I get the client to move. It's so much easier at editing. If you're moving your phone around too, which is what we did back in the day. So I get why makeup artists do it, but they move the camera all around the face. And like even my husband, he's a hairstylist. When he films his videos, he's doing
like on a roller coaster ride.
I'm like, can you just chill? Can you just hold the phone still, please?
Yes.
So hold the phone still. But yeah, that's what I learned from you, pacing, like going very slowly. If you are going to move the phone, move it slowly for the love of God.
Please.
Yeah.
You know, respect the people who are watching.
Yeah.
You know?
And even like playing around with the exposure I learned off you, like dropping the exposure down a little bit. With makeup, it can be a bit hard because you want that brightness, but sometimes adjust it like really nicely.
It can turn something into something moody. Yeah, I love that you notice those things like the movement because I don't think a lot of people have that attention to detail. They just need to film the look and that's it. And there's so many different skills you can learn from actually filming, you know, using your body as a stabilizer itself and just like leaning your weight from side to side. You don't need all the fancy equipment, a gimbal, this and that. You know, I love that you have people in front of you moving. You know, there's just so many different ways that you can grab quality content that doesn't require all this tech and running around.
Something I love about you is that when you are filming, this is a photographer thing, but you're always encouraging the person that you're filming and like you do it to me. I know you can tell when I'm like lacking confidence or something and you will say something and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I've got this, you know. Something makeup artists really struggle with is directing their clients, especially like, you know, for the average working makeup artist, we're working on everyday women. We're not working on models. We're working on women that are maybe a little self-conscious, aren't used to being on camera. They want to be on camera because it's their wedding day, but the makeup artist doesn't know how to direct them. So then in the content, they look a bit awkward. When the client's awkward, we get awkward. Right? So the girls will try and film a bit of content, then they just get the hell out of there because it's awkward. So what are your tips for the makeup artists or hairstylists that are directing their clients and to help them have more confidence and to get better shots of them to begin with?
Have some prompts in your head First of all, you want to be able to read someone's energy. If they need a little compliment, if they need a boost, or maybe I'm one of the people that will do a silly little jig in the corner to make someone laugh. Like, I don't care what I look like. I want them to have a great time. And if they're laughing at me, then I've done my job. You know what I mean? To get that genuine laugh.
Yes.
But I do have prompts in the back of my mind, a makeup prompt, for example, and I've seen you do this, like eyes down, eyes up slowly.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be like, look left, look right, look up, look down. You know, you want to tilt your head and chin down to your shoulder and slowly turn to me.
Yeah.
That's so great for them because they know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
You're telling them, they're not like, oh, do I look here now? Do I look there? And then that's awkward. And then it's awkward for your content. So having those prompts is huge.
That's really helpful. You walk them through it. And in the beginning, if they're awkward, get them to do it again.
Exactly.
You know, like I love the looking down, then blinking up to the camera.
I
like
love
that's
that.
the move. But it's always awkward the first couple of times.
Exactly.
So like, okay, we're going to do it again.
Yeah, sometimes I will literally have someone shake it out. I'll be like, I hear you, girl. It's been a long day. Let's just like shake it out. And like for me, I'll literally just like shake out my whole body and look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh, they're disarmed by that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay, we're just friends hanging out here. This is actually fine. I trust that she's not going to make me look like an idiot.
Yeah.
You know? And so having that trust as well gets them out of their shell.
I think making them laugh is a really good tip.
Definitely.
And then if you get that natural laugh on camera, it's so beautiful. And also showing them the content.
Yes.
Like sometimes I'll go and I'll show them what they look like and then they'll adjust their hair or like,
oh, yes, my back. Straighten.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I sit here like a Quasimodo.
I know, I'm like a hunchback right now. Yeah, there's some really good tips. This is a good question. Do you batch create content or do you work more spontaneously? We kind of touched on this a little bit, but I guess with your business, you're working with so many clients. Like, how do you manage your content?
We're actually testing this right now with a client of ours and we're really loving the results. We're doing both. So we are batch creating some core posts because we work with like a yearly content calendar or more like a marketing calendar we're working with. So we know like when is trial season, for example, makeup artist, when is, you know, Oscars, or when is wedding season for you, peak season. It's the seasons that change throughout the year. So you know that you're going to be talking consistently about something throughout a year or a season. What we will do is we will batch create the content that applies to their key messaging and we'll prep that early. But then the remainder of the content, we want to be spontaneous. We want to be able to jump into conversation as it's happening in real time because you never know what Timothée Chalamet is going to say about ballet and the opera. And they're like, I have an opinion on that. Now I'm going to jump in.
Yeah.
Instead of you created your whole content calendar a month ago.
Yeah.
And your content is dying because that trend happened a month
gone,
ago.
yeah.
It's gone. And I think that's what we're seeing agencies struggle with nowadays because there's so many processes and content takes so long to go from start to post that your content is 30 days plus old by the time it goes live. But with boutique agencies like ours or someone who's doing their own content, you can be a little bit more quick and scrappy with it.
Yeah.
So I really recommend if you know wedding season is coming or trial season is coming, talk about that. That's your key messaging. If you've got a promotion coming up, you know that's not going to change, but then leave space for that inspiration, that jumping in on a trend or a conversation.
Yeah.
So that way you're not feeling like you're overwhelmed now because you've got to jump on this and that, but you already created 12 posts for the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think looking at the year as well, this is something I tried to do this year and last year. Like you said, International Women's Day, Mother's Day, like all these things that are coming up, like you can prep some things around those. Carousels are good for this. Like we prep carousels for me to have when I'm not feeling inspired. Right? Because there's going to be weeks where I feel flat and I don't feel like posting. But by having these carousels prepped, I've always got something to go.
Yep.
And they're easy to make, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Screenshots from videos, do it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need a whole photo shoot, but you can take a screenshot from your 4K video and turn that into a photo carousel. It's great.
That's another thing I should mention. When I'm filming my makeup content, I don't take photos on my phone. And because I film so slowly, I can screenshot the photos.
I learned that from you.
Oh.
I did. I was like shocked that your content wasn't photos. It was screenshots from your videos. And I was like, duh.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, the quality's just better on the iPhone, I think. I now have the Canon G7X, which I use for photos, but not all the time. I'm still screenshotting from videos, but I wouldn't be able to do that if I was moving too fast.
No, yes.
So that's where pacing is important.
Yeah.
What is your workflow from filming, editing, posting? Like what's going on behind the scenes?
So like I'd mentioned, for a client, for example, or with Muse, we'll start with that like yearly marketing calendar to know what the general ideas and themes are for a month. And that'll get us in the creative space to start thinking about how we want to talk about this. How can we creatively approach Mother's Day or International Women's Day? So the ideas are kind of always flowing, and then we keep track of them in a document, like on your notes, or I love Google Workspace. We'll do spreadsheets or Google Docs, and we'll just brain dump content in there. I always encourage my clients and myself as well, and the team, always be filming. Always. It's weird to get into when you're first starting out because you're like, what do you mean? Like always filming? Film in your everyday life always. Like always be creating.
Okay.
Yes. So you're on a job, film yourself going there. Film yourself packing your kit. You might not have the idea for it quite yet or how you're going to use that content. It's going to come, or you might already have it. But just film.
Yeah, that's
Just
a really
film.
good tip.
This is your content bank.
But then how does that not get overwhelming though? To where you're trying to film everything you're doing in your day.
Yeah.
And then you might miss some key moments. You get mad at yourself. Like,
It's a mindset shift. And once you hit that mindset shift, there's so much freedom that comes with it. I think I have like 30,000 plus videos on my phone. And it's of course overwhelming, but I pay for terabytes upon terabytes of storage, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm sitting down, say for example, I'm looking to hire a new creator, I'm going to look back on the past year of content that I've just filmed. And I don't want it to just be all brides. I want to showcase my life as a content creator and what they can expect. And I filmed myself traveling for weddings. I filmed packing my bag. I didn't post it, or maybe I did, but it's just there just in case.
You've got something to go back on.
You got something to go back on. It's almost like you have this idea, but then you don't have the content and you're stuck. So shifting the mindset from you're just filming for the future, it's like farming. You're planting seeds and it's growing from there. And as the ideas come, you're gonna be like, holy shit, I have 7 jobs now where I have unique content from each of these jobs that I can now put into one reel, that I don't have to be like, oh, now I've got to go film 7 jobs to put into this content.
You've got it there.
So get in the habit of filming regularly in your everyday without necessarily thinking that you have to do something with it right now. It's just there for you to play with later.
How do you organize that content?
The iPhones now have updated in a way that it's really helpful, more so than they used to be. So before you were like looking for a date or scrolling to find the cover that you're hoping was the video that you were looking for. Now you can type in
keywords,
and say wedding dress, and boom, all these wedding dresses pop up.
That feature, I just learned that about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
One of my friend's mum taught me.
No.
And it's insane.
Yeah.
Like I was looking for a photo of me wearing this particular pair of jeans and I just typed in jeans and it come up.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
It's insane.
Because I do put things into albums, which I think you should still try.
Well. Yes.
If you don't, then that's a really cool feature.
Yeah. So like for clients, for example, I'll put all their wedding raw clips into an album for myself. So it's easy to find. And then I can organize and easily delete what doesn't suit and fit. But then I might look there, be like, okay, what date was this on? Okay, I know what date it was. I want to go back and look at the behind the scenes I took of the photographer then, because they're wanting to do some collaborative content. And so I'll look there. With how phones are upgrading, it makes it a lot easier to feel less overwhelmed with the amount of content. Yeah.
Just on that, you mentioned the whole storage thing. This is a question I get all the time. Like, how do I have enough storage to film all this content? I was trying to offload stuff to G Drive and all of that, and it just wasn't working. So I ended up buying the 1 terabyte iPhone. It cost me a bomb, but it's been the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it's the only way.
And it's got all my old content on it and all of the new content I filmed this year, including like these podcasts, are sitting on there and I'm only at the halfway mark. What are your tips for storage?
Tips for storage. You must have iCloud backup. Please do it. Dear God.
I'm like sitting here thinking like, do I have that?
Do it.
I know it exists, but I don't know if I back up properly. Like, I don't think I know much about it.
I mean, in my industry, like backing up content is a huge security thing. Like, you know, if my phone gets stolen or, you know, I've closed a trunk on my phone before. I couldn't even open my trunk and was like,
so as you're filming, your content's going into the...
Yes.
Okay.
It's automatically being backed up.
And then how do you access that if something was to happen to your phone?
It lives on your phone.
So then if you get a new phone, it'll be there.
Yeah. So the way that I set up my phone is that it offloads content over time that I'm not actively using. So like maybe the last 30 days, maybe 3 months, something like that. I can access that easy. But if I want to go back to last year, it's not holding it on my phone until I go to click that video and watch it. Then it will download it from the cloud. That's why you get that little like ring ring that's
Yes.
like thinking,
I
give me a
always
sec.
wondered what was going on there.
So it's being backed up in the cloud. So you can get it on your computer. You can get it and access it. If anything were to happen to your phone, you've got that peace of mind. But then you're also not holding on to all that storage. So that's probably why you've only gone through half, because it's not holding all of that on your phone.
So what is sitting on the phone then?
It's probably like most recent stuff, or like you've got big files.
And like CapCut's a bitch for
Oh
storage.
God, all your apps. Like think about if you've got
TikTok.
any drafts.
Yeah.
They're all living there.
Yeah. Okay, that's really helpful. I have a question, which I think a lot of makeup artists can relate to, about their filming space, especially my mentorship at the moment. A lot of the girls are struggling because they live in a 1-bedroom apartment. Their house might not be super aesthetic. My house is not super aesthetic. I struggle filming in my house at the moment. I can film my makeup tutorials, but I can't film the lifestyle content that you were talking about, like when you said to document everything you're doing. I really can't do that in my current house. I'm lucky enough that I have a corner that I've been able to set up for makeup, but what would you suggest in that sense? Because, people don't have the money to be renting out studios every week, and like it just eats into your profits. So what would you suggest in that sense?
I was in the same boat with you as well. And there are some places in my current space where it's just not aesthetic to film, or the lighting's shit. And you're just like, how do I make something beautiful out of this like dark and gloomy space? And I love what you said about making one little corner aesthetic. That kind of relieves a lot of the stress there, because you're not looking to renovate your whole home. But if you can find some lighting or a nice window and a little space that you just like zhuzh up a little bit based on where you're sitting with your camera, that can feel like a weight lifted off your shoulders. But at the same time, like you don't have to be limited to just filming at home or necessarily in a studio. Like go out into the world and take us with you, where you are. If you're at a job site that looks really cool, like we don't have to necessarily just see your work on the screen. Like show us what it's like for you to choose the space that you're going to set up in, or laying out your kit, or you're at a friend's house and maybe they're your model that you're working on and their space is aesthetic. You don't have to necessarily be confined to your home when you think about just the world in general and all these fun places that you could be. And that's where it comes into storytelling in your brand. Like it's not always just going to be about makeup and the work. It's going to be about you and your business. Because then when your brand exceeds and excels and you go on to do podcasts or other different sort of revenue streams, your business will grow with you because you didn't just pigeonhole yourself into one little
So true.
niche.
I think on that as well, something that's really helped me is becoming friends with people that like doing the same thing in terms of content. Like you were the first one, because I'm still not the best at filming myself in public. Like I'm not totally confident. I'll do it. But if someone looks at me, I will get mortified.
You're like, kill me now, please. Just deceased.
But like hanging out with you, I remember one time you posted something about getting over the fear of posting in public, and you were just posting yourself with the tripod, and I've tried to get better at that. But hanging out with other people, other creators, other businesses and entrepreneurs that care about the same thing is really helpful. Like me and my friend Jess, who I had on the podcast a few weeks ago, she's so into it as well. So when we're together, it's like, yes, the tripod's going to be here. There's nothing worse than being with a friend or someone who like rolls the eyes.
No, what a damper on your creativity.
Right?
Like, just move along. I'll be over here by myself. That's fine,
So you need to have those people in your corner. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah, it gives you that like extra layer of confidence because you two are in your own little world. You're not even looking at the people being like, rolling their eyes at you, doing an outfit check, because it's you and your bestie and you're having the time of your life.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's not always feasible to always be creating with someone. So the mindset shift there that I use for myself is, my community isn't here. Isn't that old man across the street who's gawking at me, being like, oh, influencers, He doesn't know me.
Yeah.
My community is online. My community is waiting for me to post what I did on holiday, or waiting for me to share the story from that thing I told them about. I owe it to them to show up and do it. And so it gives me confidence from there, because I'm not here for that old man across the street or the mean girls who are judging. I'm not here for them. I'm here for the people who are cheering me on online. That is my community. It's just different because they're not in person.
Yeah.
But you have to think about them cheering you on.
That's so true. That's really good advice. Like I said, I get really ashamed when someone looks at me weird or whatever. So that's helpful.
I get a lot of that feedback from clients where they're like, oh, I don't think anyone would be interested in seeing that. And I'm like, yes, we are. Please film it, post it, want to see it. I think we're all very humble when we first begin, like, oh, this is just little old me and my little old passion. And it really matters who you're surrounded by and how they lift you up.
It's so true. I have a lot of makeup artists say to me, like, I just don't think I have anything interesting to offer. I'm boring.
No.
Like, I've got nothing. And I'm like, you would be surprised.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, tell me some things that have happened to you in the last 5 years. Yeah. And they'll start rolling them off. And I'm like, boom, 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 boom. Like, there's so many things. Like, we think our lives are so boring, but they can be fascinating to someone else.
Absolutely. Like, you're telling me what your nighttime routine is after a long day, and it's this tea and this book and your diffuser. I want that.
Yeah.
Oh, what scent is in there? Where did you get it?
It's so
okay,
true.
I'm going to make my little corner now. You know what I mean? Because I saw you and I see the energy that you exude in your everyday.
Yeah.
And I want me a piece of that. That's value.
Totally.
And you're like, oh, well, it's just me pouring a cup of tea and sitting reading a book. No, that's valuable.
Yeah, my online audience, they motivate me, especially where we live. Like, it's a bit, gloomy at the moment.
Oh, yes.
If I see someone out going for a walk in this weather, I'm like, I should get outside too.
Yeah. It's a reminder.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we've talked a bit about personal branding, but I want to ask, like, how do you think you can build authority online without oversharing your personal life? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that too. They want to have that boundary. They don't necessarily want to show their husband and their kids and their family life, but they know they need to let people in for the sake of branding. What are your tips for that?
That's a really great question. And in my opinion, I think that authority comes from sharing your expertise and not necessarily oversharing. So when you share your expertise, you're sharing your work, your knowledge, your process. You're letting your work speak for you. It's those client transformations. It's the before and afters. It's your technique and how you're making decisions and how you're adapting to difficult situations. That's building trust in your audience, and that's building connection and authority. I think when you switch it to just sharing about your perspective as opposed to like the nitty-gritty details. So a working makeup artist who's also a mom and a partner, maybe you're sharing that you're packing lunches for the kids before you're packing your kit. You don't need to share your kids. You don't need to talk about their ages or their interests or all those private details, but sharing your perspective, sharing your life through your own eyes and how that applies to you is what's going to connect you to other people. So you don't have to go down the nitty-gritty details of your private life.
Yeah.
But kind of just opening up your day-to-day and how it applies to your work makes a difference, because boundaries are important.
Totally. I've learned that. I've got a friend, Hong Lee. I always refer to her because she's killing it at the moment, but she does that. I mean, she shows her kids online, but a lot of her content is just her making food at home. So she's like doing the mum thing, cooking for the family, but it's just her. Yeah. Like the camera's on her and she's talking and cooking and doing all that at the same time. So I think that's a really good way of like, trust building and letting people in. Like, she's not telling us what's going on in her marriage and what issues the kids are having at school or whatever. Like, we're just getting to know her a bit better.
Yeah. Like, I love seeing any sort of personal brand being vulnerable online. We all have those moments where we shed a tear, and I don't think it's cringy to take a photo or a video, to be honest. I want to connect with you in that way and see you being a real human being. Obviously the way that you film it is important to get that across, but you don't have to go into the details of the who, what, where, when, and why, but just talking about work being difficult. Like, I think you had posted something about, the realities of grieving while you're going through, say, wedding season and how that impacted you. I felt seen when I saw that post.
That did really well.
I sat back in my chair and took a deep breath and was like, oh my God, someone said it. Because we're just so used to putting a face on it. Everything's great and I'm the best and, I can do anything.
Yeah.
When in reality, you're like, some days I struggle and that's okay. It's how you come back from that.
Yeah. And that's trust building as well.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a lot of women that have gone out and made a post like that, or they've had a miscarriage or something at a wedding, and that's the relatability part they were lacking, so there's so many more makeup artists and women can relate to them. I'm not saying you need to go and do that, but if you decide to share something from your personal life, it just gives people a reason to want to watch everything else that you're doing.
Absolutely. It gives the full picture. You're no longer this trophy on a shelf that just shines, where you're like, I could never relate to her because she's perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, we actually resonate on so many different levels. I'm a mom, or I've struggled with this before. And it just makes your message so much more powerful. It builds such stronger connections with your community that they will go to bat for you, and they are all ears and just waiting to hear what you have to say.
On that whole relatability thing, and there's a lot of makeup artists listening that have grown big followings and grown big careers, and I see a lot of stuff online she's not relatable anymore. What do you say to that?
I can see it, and I'm not saying necessarily makeup artists in general, but just creators in general. I can see where they have almost lost their own plot. They have they have lost hold of their values. They have lost hold of their voice. And every time I go online, it's an ad. Buy this, or I love this brand. I'm like, wait a minute, girl, like 3 months ago you were talking about how you only use clean products, but now you're selling me something with synthetic fragrances. Like, I'm confused. I don't trust you now. And it can be really hard when you're getting paid.
It's
how
so
do you
hard.
say no?
It's really hard.
Here's, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 to do an ad for us. That is hard, right?
Yeah.
But I think your audience can see it now.
They can. Like, consumers have gotten so much more clued on to influencer marketing. Like, they see straight through it. And this is where the whole storytelling thing comes in, because you have to be genuine.
Yeah.
I learnt this the hard way. A few years ago, I had a brand pay me. And when I got the products, I didn't love them. Like, truth be told, just to be completely honest, I didn't love the products, but they offered me a really decent rate. And it was like winter here in Canada. I wasn't booking many jobs. I was in a very different place to where I am now. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I filmed the video, put it online. And a couple of weeks later, I had one of my auntie's friends reach out to me. So this is like this sweet 50-year-old woman. And she'd gone and bought everything that I recommended.
Cute.
But she hated the products and they weren't working for her.
Yeah.
And I remember just feeling sick, because sometimes when you're creating content or you're selling something or you're working for brands, it's this weird thing where you don't really think people are buying it. I don't know. You feel like you're posting into this like abyss. You forget that there's real people watching what you're doing.
Hanging on to your every word and recommendation. Yeah.
So I learnt it then. And because it was someone I knew, I was heartbroken that she'd gone and done that. So that's when I made the decision that like no money is worth it. Like I'll only be recommending products that I genuinely love, use. But it's hard when you're a creator and you're trying to make money.
Yep.
Of course, like if someone throws $3,000 at you, you're going to do it.
Especially when you're a personal brand and it's like, I'm following you because I trust you, not a faceless brand that's telling me this, that, and the other. I trust you.
Yeah.
You've used it. You're a human being, right?
Yeah.
It can be very difficult, but I think that's where you can charge more because you're selective. That's where, you might have a clause in there that's being like, yeah, absolutely, but I'll be giving my honest opinion.
Yeah.
And I think brands need to be confronted with that when they're working with other creators, that they need to find people who are in alignment with that, because they're being exposed to your big, huge community and they're maximizing on the trust that you've built with them.
Yeah, I've noticed this last year, brands have stopped giving us briefs. They still give us a brief of like, here's what not to say, but they used to give us a brief with a voiceover script of like what to say. That's totally stopped. It's like, please come to us with your brief and they'll either approve or they'll tweak it.
Yep.
But I love that because they're giving the creators creativity to say what they want, because you can get lost in it.
It's a business at the end of the day, and business needs to be profitable.
Totally. This might sound weird, but like I always try and come back to my family values. I'm like, would I sell this to my mum?
Yes.
Would I want my mum being sucked into this ad or my aunties or my grandmother, or would my grandmother approve of what I'm putting online right now? Like that's how I try and stay not relatable, but just like myself, grounded,
Yeah, absolutely. And it gives you a unique perspective on things as well, because if a brand's coming to you and they're not a luxury brand, but they want you to tell everyone that they are, and you're like, well, you're not, but let me rephrase this to be like, if you're looking for luxury on a dime, let me show you how you can achieve that. So you're not pulling the wool over people's eyes and then they're like, wait a minute, you said this because the brand wanted you to say that. It's like, no, let me share my perspective and how it's rooted in my values and keep that at the forefront. And then that's how you can move forward and work with these brands in your own way. And I love to hear that brands are cottoning on now.
They are.
That it doesn't work.
A thing that brands are doing now, which is a new thing, which might be helpful for some makeup artists, is they're sending gifted products. They're not offering us partnerships or like paying us to film a video. I mean, some still do, but like this is a new thing I've just noticed. They're sending gifted products and they're waiting for us to just make a video because we will, because we want them to keep gifting us, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll make a video. If it's a video they like, they'll come and throw money at us. So they'll be like, hey, we really like that video. Can we put $1,000 behind it? Can we put $2,000? And they boost it. So I really like that.
Yeah.
First of all, I think that it's a great way for young and new creators to grow.
Yes.
Because you could have 2,000 followers, but make this amazing video for a brand. And if they see it, they'll boost it.
Yep.
So you've just made yourself some money.
Absolutely.
So I love that. Everyone's just realizing they want more authenticity. And all of that.
That's what I recommend to creators who are just starting out, whether, like you said, makeup artists, but even creators who just want to do content creation in any sort of industry or niche, whether it's tech, beauty, lifestyle. and you're like, how do I start getting paid? Well, you start by reaching out, asking for products. Pitching, exactly. Pitch to people.
Yeah.
Create the content, get the experience. Now you have a portfolio. Now they're willing to pay.
Yep.
Right? So
yeah, I have a whole episode on that, how to land brand deals. And I talked about that, how when I moved to Canada, I wasn't booking work. No one knew who I was. I was quickly draining my savings account. So I would go to Starbucks every day and I'd send 20 emails to brands. And that's how it got started for me. I'd create videos for them and send them the video. So yeah, you have to pitch and put yourself out there for sure.
networking is so important.
Totally. I want to move into some advice specifically for beauty professionals and makeup artists, because that's my audience. What's something you see online that you think makeup artists should stop doing?
I think people should stop just posting the finished work.
Yeah.
Like, don't put all your eggs in that basket because there's so much more to be shown. You know, there's so much more to see. You know, absolutely, I should be scrolling your feed and seeing how great your work is, but I'm seeing 10 other people and how great their work is.
Yeah.
What makes you different from everybody else? So you need to be doing, like we talked about, the storytelling, you know, sharing behind the scenes, that kind of content. But this could even go as far as like a hot topic per se. I love when people have opinions. Never stop having opinions online. Like, share your perspective, be confident in it, be sassy in it. But there's a balance between just going online to complain about your clients, moan about
your
the
colleagues.
industry, your colleagues, a photographer. There's a difference between having an opinion and being controversial and starting a conversation and then just bitching and complaining.
Yeah. And this is a big thing in the makeup industry at the moment, because there's just so many videos circulating where people are complaining about their colleagues or making a video that's like putting their colleagues down, or do you know what I mean?
We're in a culture of being angry online.
Yeah. So it gets engagement, and I understand why people do it, because all of a sudden they feel seen.
Yes.
And that's the first time they felt seen online.
Yeah, and they think they're onto something because they're being validated by the numbers.
Yes. But in my opinion, that's the worst thing you could ever do for your brand. Because there's been some negative videos that have popped up in our industry that I've seen because they go viral. But that's all I know about that person.
Yep.
So now whenever I see that person, I go, oh, she's the girl that made that nasty video.
Do I trust her now? Probably not. Is she going to talk about me behind my back if I work with her, or whatever that might look like?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not feeling warm or welcome to you now because I know that you're untrustworthy, I think.
But what do you think is the psychology behind that rage bait content?
It performs.
Yeah,
it performs. It gets people going. Like, I'm very fascinated by just bots and how psychology online works and how people will use, even in politics, bots to incite riots online to fuel their political agendas. And it just such an easy formula.
Yeah.
The rage bait.
Yeah. What I always say is
Cheap.
that it's cheap. And it's not very creative.
No.
So I just think people rely on that because they don't have that creativity. And I think that's sad, because we all want to get to a point where we're creative enough to show our own personality and to build trust that way, as opposed to building a brand off of being negative or controversial.
Absolutely. Like, I'm all for controversy. Honestly, I try to tell people to be more controversial. Don't sit in that milky, you know, lukewarm middle.
Yeah, but you
where
can do
you're
it in a
trying to
way
please
without
everyone.
putting other people down, right?
You absolutely can. And
Like-
that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, my pricing post is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
It divided people in the
Yes.
comments, but at no point was I saying, this girl's not charging. It's like, I wasn't pinpointing anyone.
No.
It was just a general opinion on money.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have an opinion and it can divide people in the comments, like, that's good for your brand.
Absolutely.
Obviously. I honestly don't think anyone listening to this podcast is one of those people.
I know. That's why I was like, I don't see, because I meet a lot of makeup artists through you and
Yeah.
through your following and through my work at your shoots and on site, and everyone I've ever met is so positive and so wonderful, and it's
Yeah.
like, what should we stop doing? I'm like, do more.
Yeah.
I want to see it all. You guys are killing it. But then you do get folks like that in any industry.
Totally,
Just,
any
you
industry.
know.
I get an insight into the hairdressing industry through being married to Bashir, and like,
Yes.
it happens across the board.
Yeah, the content creator, photographer, videographer world is very fraught with drama.
Yeah, I
So
bet.
I feel you.
I bet.
Yeah.
Okay, a few weeks ago, I told my audience that I was having a content creator come on the podcast. So I popped a question box on my Instagram story, and these are some of the questions we got through.
I'm so excited to hear from real peeps.
Now, the first one, which we just touched on, was what are your thoughts on clickbait and rage bait? Is there anything more you'd add to that?
I don't think so. So we understand where the value from clickbait and rage bait comes from. And it's that it stopped someone in their tracks. It got their attention, but not in a positive way. It did it in a negative way. So if there's anything that you can learn from that, it's how did they grab your attention and what did they touch on? Likely there was a hook.
Yeah.
Likely they tugged on some emotions, and likely they shared an opinion that you also had that now you feel seen or validated, or maybe it made you think of something different. So when you're looking at content, try looking at it through that lens of why did it perform, less about what was being said there.
Yeah.
Like I could go and look at any of your pieces of content and be like, yes, check, check, check. Like it always has a formula as to why it's so successful. And you do it naturally.
I think if anything, what we've learned from this conversation is that brands are built slowly over time.
Yes.
Like I think everyone wants the viral moment, and sometimes it can help. Like I talked about in one of my past podcasts, Jordan's wedding, I got 30,000 followers from. Of course, that gave me a kick and a boost, and I loved it. But the rest of that has come from me slowly building. I think people lean into rage bait and clickbait because they want that overnight success. They want that big moment to boost the followers or whatever. But most successful brands that I know of have done it really slowly and consistently over time. And I always say that I think that the best way to build your brand is to just be yourself. Of course, we all do trends, and like trends can be really fun, but like don't let the trends become your brand. Like you have to just be yourself and show your own unique personality, and your people will be drawn to that.
Absolutely. I like to think of it as like your business. If you blew up online overnight, could your business handle that success? Probably not if you're just starting out. Do you have the systems in place? A really great friend of mine who was in real estate, who bought and sold a business and is like traveling the world, living her best life. The advice she gave me was that most businesses don't fail because of starvation. They fail from indigestion. And that's not being able to handle the amount of work that they have because they don't have the tools and the systems in place to keep it going successfully and then to grow from that and expand your business. So while going viral is great and everything, make sure that your business can handle that exposure first and foremost.
100%. And also the minute you get a viral reel, you have haters in the comments, and all of a sudden people are saying mean things about you. Like, can you handle that?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think for all of us, like in the beginning, we can't. We're like devastated and we have to do some serious like...
Call your therapist. I need an appointment ASAP.
But you have to be able to handle that. So that's a good answer. If someone had no idea where to start with content, what would you recommend?
I would start by kind of mapping out a little strategy for yourself. And if we're talking to makeup artists, obviously we're talking to makeup artists who are building personal brands. I think that's the way to go. Not building a faceless brand, you're building a personal brand. Stick to 3 things. Stick to storytelling. Well, not just storytelling, stick to your story, your passion, and your skill. That's where you're going to start. Show how skilled you are. Show the process. Tell me about your passions. Is it certain types of products? Is it a certain aspect of the industry? Luxury? Is it, natural? Is it glam? And then tell me your story. How did you get here? Where are you coming from? What is your goals? If you stick with those 3 kind of pillars, your brand will be able to naturally evolve with you without pigeonholing you into one niche. Because you are your niche. So if you don't know where to start with those things, your story, your passion, and your skill. And from there, as you start to create content and as you explore what feels easy, what feels good, that will just naturally evolve with you. And then you're not stuck, oh my God, I've just built a following around something that I've outgrown.
Yeah, that's true. And because your passions and your interests will change over time as well.
Exactly.
So that, you want to be adaptable too.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I love this question. And this is something I try and teach everyone in my mentorship, but how to stretch your content. The first thing I notice when I take on new clients in my mentorship is that they'll do a wedding, they'll post the one photo of the bride, that's it until the next wedding. So what I try and teach them is how to stretch it.
Yeah.
Like how to keep posting from that same job. What are your tips on that?
Think about it from different perspectives. Think about it from the bride's perspective. Think about it from your perspective. Think about it from future clients' perspective. When they're looking at this piece of content, think about, okay, so if I am a future bride, I'm considering working with you. Maybe I want to know what products you're using. Maybe I want to know what it's like to work with you or to book with you. If you're a makeup artist, maybe you have some ideas on technique for me and how you achieve this look. It's not just about the final look, but think about the community that you're cultivating cultivating, how they're seeing your content through their eyes, and what might be of value to them. Like I've seen clients post the exact same bride in 3 posts in a row, and one day someone in the past would have been like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, there's so much value here.
Yeah.
Obviously you don't want to do this strategically speaking, but it could be like the same kind of clips from there. And you're creating 3 different reels. You don't want to post them in a row, but you're posting them, 1 month, month 2, month 3.
Yeah.
But you're just looking through a different lens.
100%. Yeah, I try and do it in a way where, like, even recently I had a content day, just like a model come over my house. One video I posted was me focusing on one product. So that's the brand tick.
One product,
If they see that, they're going to like that. The next one was like a 2-minute tutorial with a voiceover. Then I cut that down to a 20-second tutorial with music. Then I did the finish look, then I did the reaction. Then I did the kit cleanup. Do you know what I mean? So it's like 6 or 7 videos from one sitting.
Yeah.
So it's getting creative on like, okay, yeah, I posted this voiceover, it flopped. Instead of being like, I'm
done.
I'm terrible, the look's done,
Yeah.
I'm going to move on. Taking the time to be like, okay, well, how can I rework this? To just test as well, right?
Yes, don't be afraid to test your content.
Yeah.
To experiment. Because half the time it's that thing you spent 5 minutes on
Every
you
time.
didn't care about.
Every
That blew up.
single time. It's
know.
always something like my vlogs always flop. And I know vlogs are like nurture content. I know people still watch them, but they always flop. But the carousel that I posted this week that literally took me a second went viral.
Yeah.
So it's always something that you put the least amount of time and effort into.
Right? It's funny how your content serves such different purposes. Like you said, your vlog content is that nurture content. Like I'm getting cozy, I'm hanging out with Kelsey and seeing what she's doing for 20 minutes, you know what I mean? Or whatever your vlog is, and we're hanging out. But I'm not going to be doing that if I'm out and about, and just standing in line and scrolling. Your content serves different purposes.
That's true. I always wonder why the vlogs flop because I see people do vlogs and they perform really well. So I'm like, what am I doing wrong with the vlogs? And I keep doing it because it annoys me. I'm going to keep doing it. I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that about you. Experiment.
Okay, this is a great question. A lot of people ask me this. Should I post the same content on TikTok versus IG?
That is a really good question. And I think yes and no, of course.
Yeah.
TikTok is such a different platform. Content is consumed differently than Instagram. Like Instagram is this polished, curated, it can be silly and goofy, but TikTok is like, you've got personality over here. There's humor. There's, you haunting your own home in your jammies, Would that live on Instagram? Probably not. But I really do think there's 2 different strategies for both apps, because think about it too, like TikTok, you're really just scrolling one endless feed, or you're looking at your favorite creators. Whereas Instagram, there's photo, video, you can go to an explore page, you're looking at content a little bit differently. So I would say while some pieces, they can live on both. I wouldn't say if you're looking to grow on TikTok, don't go and put an Instagram strategy onto TikTok.
So what would be the difference then? For me, I treat Instagram as more of a portfolio. I know that's where the bride, that's going to be her last spot. Like she might find me on TikTok. I might be referred to her. She might see something on YouTube or whatever, but she's going to come to my Instagram to make that final decision. While I'm not aiming for perfection on my Instagram, I want it to be somewhat polished with my clients in mind. Whereas TikTok, I share a bit more founder content, longer videos, more talking heads. Sometimes I'm there with no makeup on. Yeah. It's a bit more raw and uncut. At this point, I'm putting them on both apps because I just think if it doesn't perform on one, it's going to perform on the other. Yeah,
and that's what I mean. I think like that polished portfolio content lives on Instagram, and that's where it's going to perform well, whereas that unpolished talking head, no makeup on kind of thing, long or short form content can live on TikTok and perform really well. If you're looking to grow, there's nothing wrong with doing both and just seeing what lands, because maybe your personality is more viral on TikTok. Maybe that's where you want to live. But of course,
different audiences too.
Very different audiences and different ways of consuming content. So I don't think it's a copy and paste strategy, but if that's all you have, do it.
Yeah, anyway. I say that to people as well. Like if you don't want to overwhelm yourself with coming up with 2 different strategies, just copy and paste. But ultimately, there does have to be a little bit of a different strategy for both. I also just think it's really important. There's a lot of makeup artists still not on TikTok and refuse to get it. A big community of people that aren't on it. It's because it's a new skill to learn and people don't have the time or the energy.
Yeah.
It feels daunting when you get on there. But sadly, I mean, especially for me, I'm 34. The majority of the people in their 30s are kind of married now, right? So I need to be appealing to the younger generation. And they're on TikTok. So I think it's 100% necessary for makeup, but depending on your goals, right? Like if you want to be the local makeup artist and you're happy with the referrals and the small jobs, then fine. Like that's great. But I think if you want to build a brand, then TikTok is totally necessary.
Absolutely. And I think too, there's something very freeing about starting a new profile with no followers.
That's how I
and zero
build.
expectations.
100%.
Do it.
I was on Instagram and I totally had imposter syndrome, never posted my face. TikTok come around and I was like, you know what? No one knows me on there. None of my friends are on there.
Yeah.
No one from my community's on there. I'm just going to go for it.
Yes.
And then that's how it happened.
Yep.
And then you get used to it.
Yep.
Like once you start posting content of yourself, you get used to it. Because people are always like, how do you get these ideas? I'm like, they come to you once you get your hands dirty.
Yeah, exposure therapy.
Yeah.
You're like, now I know what worked, what was easy. I followed that ease. People are reaffirming I loved this. Like people will literally reach out and be like, can you do this video or tell me about that?
Yeah.
Say less. Done. My strategy given to me by my community.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. How to overcome perfectionism. I just mentioned that word before actually, but this is a big one, especially because we work in beauty. We are perfectionists. We feel like we need to look perfect online. There is still to this day a lot of filtered, face-apped makeup content online that, you know, makes other makeup artists feel like shit. Like feel like their work's not good enough, especially with content. Because in the beginning when you're filming and editing content, it's clunky.
Yeah.
It's not going to be perfect.
No.
So how do you get past that?
I love the saying, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. If you're trying to make something so perfect, you don't post anything at all, you're not helping yourself. So you need to let that go. But then that's a fine line. Like, where do I let go? What I like to think of is when you look at your favorite brands and you creep and you go all the way back to like their early days, you love seeing where they came from. You love seeing how much they've evolved, whether it was their clunky editing or whether it was their makeup look. That is part of the journey.
So true.
That is part of growing your business, your brand, your skill, your story. If you showed up and you were perfect and the best of the best since day one, are you relatable?
Yeah,
Are you
and no
real?
one is perfect from day one.
No one is perfect from day one. And you're just stopping yourself from posting and being seen and connecting with people now. So get out of your own goddamn way.
And I think the confidence comes from posting, right? Because as much as like there's negative people online who will point out things that I don't like about you, the majority of people are pointing out good things about you that you never even knew.
Yes.
Like I never knew that I was a good speaker until people online started telling me.
Yep.
And now we have a podcast.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't know that about myself.
Yeah.
Or people will point out things about my work, like the reason why they love my makeup that I didn't even know. Like I still do sometimes have imposter syndrome where I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
But then someone online will say something nice and validate me and like give me confidence. That wouldn't happen if I wasn't putting myself out there.
Yeah.
So you have to.
Yes,
know?
you have to put yourself out there. Know that your need for perfection is really coming from caring. You care about the community that you're building. You care about your work. You care about the clients you're about to serve. But don't let that stand in the way of actually reaching them.
How to find a good balance with filming content and being professional. Now, I know when you get hired for jobs, you're hired to film content.
Yes.
It's okay for you to have the camera in their face. For us as makeup artists, and there are some people online that will put content out like, you know, weddings are not the days to film content for our businesses. I somewhat disagree with that.
I 100% disagree with that. Absolutely, I do.
Yeah. So how do we film content on weddings while still being professional and making sure the bride's the number one priority and the makeup's the number one priority, but still doing what we need to do for our business because content is a part of our job now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just being respectful is really important. Asking if it's okay, you know, can I film this? Or I'm just going to set the camera up here. Having them be a part of the process. I think if they see you filming others, they want to be in front of your lens.
Yes.
They want their moment. If you don't post about them, they're going to be like, what was wrong with me?
Exactly.
You know, show me. So I say ask, but I really don't think you need to because it's almost a given.
Yeah, like that's why they book you.
And that's how they found
you through content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I have seen, not makeup artists per se, but other vendors getting in the way to get their content. Now the mom was pushed aside because you needed a minute there. So just being aware of your surroundings surroundings.
Yeah.
How would you want to be treated if it was your family in your wedding, and just being mindful of that?
That's why the 2 Zoom works a treat.
It does. That
You
way
don't have to be up in
everyone's
their face, you know?
Yeah, 2 Zoom is the best because all the other clutter and everyone having their moments outside of that is private. You know, you don't get mom eating in the background. No one wants a video of that.
Yeah. I always say for the majority of brides, right? There's some that don't want to be filmed and don't want to be online. The majority do. For the majority of them, that wedding day is the one day they feel like a celebrity. It's the one day they're getting doted on. They're getting their hair and makeup done. It's all about them. Their friends and family loving on them. They're getting their photos taken, like all of that. And they want that moment.
Absolutely.
Every woman wants that moment.
They want to look back on this like glamour story of the biggest day of their life from start to finish. Like content creators don't show up before glam's done because we know it's already covered.
Is that right?
Pretty much. Like I tell people, you don't need that from me.
Yeah.
Like you don't need...
The makeup artist is all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your makeup artist has it.
Yeah.
You know? And they're going to do it better than I will because it's not the same, right?
Yeah, I always just say once the tripod's set up on your phone's there, it's really not that distracting, to be honest. Like I always set my tripod a little bit away from the bride, sometimes on a 2 Zoom or like 1.5 or whatever. And yeah, I might go back and forth every now and then to hit record, stop, but that's not distracting.
Not at all.
And going back to what I said about it being their one celebrity moment, they want you to film them. They want to go on your Instagram. Like you said, I think my brides would be upset if I didn't post them.
Absolutely.
It's the day and age we live in, right? Like it's so normal now.
Yeah, like you said, that's how they found you. You know, you don't want to gatekeep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're getting to the end of the episode now. So if you could give people one piece of advice when it comes to being a better creator in 2026, what would you say?
I think that would be to really work on building confidence. Confidence is magnetic. It speaks before you've even spoken.
Yeah.
You see it in people's eyes. It's in their energy. Like I get goosebumps thinking about seeing you online and your confidence and what you exude and how other people step out of their comfort zone to do something when they're not ready. They're just showing up. And I'm just like enamored, like, wow, I'm watching someone rise in real time and build something for themselves. And outside of the skill and outside of the passion, like that story in and of itself, someone building something for themselves, building their lifestyle, building a dream. Confidence doesn't mean you know what you're doing every single day and, you know, you're not showing up with vulnerability. It just means you're doing it. Get it done.
Prepared to take the risk.
Take the risk.
No matter what.
Show up. Have a plan. If you don't have a plan, just do something. Get started, you know, talk to people. And all of that starts with confidence, whether you're networking offline or online, whether you're showing up to your first wedding ever or, you know, booking a job you don't know if you're ready for yet. You're going to be ready when you're there and when you leave and on to the next one. I think,
You figure it out.
Cultivate confidence. And that looks like surrounding yourself with people who are however many steps ahead on their journey.
Totally.
It means surrounding yourself with positivity and people who lift you up.
Yes.
Not drag you down.
Yeah.
That means educating yourself, being on top of your trends, on top of what's happening in the industry. You know, you're never done learning in life or in work. So you cultivate confidence through the people that you surround yourself, through the education that you cultivate, and just getting your feet wet and getting started. When you're not ready and you don't feel confident, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, I always say the confidence comes from the work.
The experience.
Like all of my masterclasses in the beginning, I'm still not confident now. I'm still like, what the hell? Like, I can't believe these people are showing up.
Yeah.
You've seen me the morning of the class. I'm sick.
Every time. I love it because you're just a human.
It's
I look
so
at you and
bad.
I'm like, oh, Kelsey's so confident. She's got it all under wraps. And then I remember you're just a real girl like all of us.
People are shocked
doing
when they come to these
insane
classes
things.
and they see how sick I get.
You're so cute.
But then off the back, and I'm always like, never again. This is the last one.
I know
I'm
every
done.
one you've done. I'm never doing this again.
I'm done. And then after, I'm like, right, we're launching the next one. Let's go.
Yeah, let's
and
do
that's
it.
the confidence that comes from actually doing the work, because then I
Yeah.
do the work, I see how well it goes. So that's great advice.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was
It was
incredible.
so fun.
I had so much fun.
We could keep yapping all
We
day about
literally
content.
could. Yeah.
But I think we covered some really good points, and this is really going to help a lot of makeup artists. So
Definitely. I'm excited to see the women that you're coaching. I've been watching them as you reshare their stories and seeing them coming out of their shells.
It's insane to see.
I'm so invested.
Like off one call, how they just start posting. This is why I love mentorship, because I didn't have it when I was growing up as a makeup artist. It wasn't a thing. Like you said, ChatGPT wasn't even a thing back then. We were just figuring it out. But everyone needs someone in their corner to just be like, you've got this.
You've got this.
Go
and if
for
you don't,
it.
I've got you. I'll guide you.
Yeah, and it's insane to see how just off of one call, they're all posting and putting themselves out there.
I'm so invested in these women that you're coaching. I want to see how far they go, because I know what that's like starting from the beginning or even in the middle, where you're like, I have big dreams, but how do I connect the dots and how do I get there? And to me, that's like the best reality TV.
Yeah.
I'm like, show me, girl. Show me what you're building. I'm so here for it. Literally.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's next for you guys?
For us, my goodness, we are blowing up with weddings. And so for us, it's expanding the team. It's expanding the team and just making the flow a lot easier on my end, I think, where I'm putting in systems and processes and automations now where I can kind of step back a little bit and not have to deal with so much of the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Like email back and forth, sending portfolios and things like that, where it's all automated and we're getting there. And it's already been like night and day from, first year of weddings to second year.
It's a game changer.
We doubled our revenue.
It can happen quickly, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. It was like borderline, like, oh my God, can I sustain this? But yeah, having a good team who's good at what they do and being able to let go and step away from that and then work on what I do best and grow the business is where I'll be spending my time.
Like selfishly, like I love seeing you succeed, but I'm also like, I hope Brittany never gets to the point that she can't film my masterclass. Like I need her there and everything.
I love it. Seriously. And that's the thing, like I feel so attached to, the OGs that I started working with.
So you'll always make time for me.
I will always make time for you.
Amazing.
Forever. I love you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for
so
having
much
me.
fun.
Thank you. Good luck to everyone listening. We're cheering you on.
Yay.